The space station floated quietly in the dark. Outpost 9 was old, built before the Galactic Council even formed. It had only 12 crew members, small, distant, forgotten. It scanned deep space near the edge of human territory, watching for pirates, smugglers, or strange signals. Nothing ever happened here, but that night something strange arrived. It started with a ping, then another, then 20. Lieutenant Jara leaned forward. She looked at the screen. What is that? The signal was soft, repeating, but not in any known language. The technician beside her, a younger Killeran named Vex, frowned. It's not a language, he said. It's a warning. Jara looked closer. It was a single tone, over and over again, at regular intervals. Every 5 seconds, beep, then silence, then again, beep, like a heartbeat, but cold. Record. It, she said, logged the source. But the source made no sense. The signal came from empty space. No planets, no debris, no satellites. Just dark vacuum. They tried to send a reply, no answer. Then 4 hours later, everything changed. The signal increased. It wasn't just beeping now. It was forming patterns, tones. Then, finally, a word. It was in human standard. One word repeated. Over and over again, Warbringer. The word echoed through the station. Jara stood still. Vex looked at her, nervous. That's not good. She nodded slowly. Send it to Central Command. Immediate dispatch. But it could be a joke, another crew member said. Maybe pirates, or someone trying to scare us. Jara turned to him. Pirates don't broadcast death words in dead space. The crew laughed nervously. They didn't believe it. Warnings like this only happened in old war stories. Not now, not after peace. For the next few hours, the station remained on alert. The signal never stopped. It grew louder, sharper, angrier. Lights flickered, screens blinked, sensors shorted. Then it happened. Outpost 9 lost all power. Every system shut down at once. Engines, life support, gravity, even emergency lights. The station floated in complete darkness. The crew panicked. They grabbed flashlights, stumbled through hallways, called out to each other. Jara reached the command room again. Her breath was heavy. The air was getting thin. Vex shouted from the corner. I can't restart anything. It's like the power doesn't exist anymore. Jara looked out the observation window. First she saw nothing, but then a shape, far. In the distance, a dark object, moving slowly, with no lights, no engines. It floated like a ghost, big, heavy, silent, and it was coming closer. The crew saw it too. No one knew what it was. One technician whispered, It looks human. Jara didn't blink. That's impossible. No. Human ships operate out here. But the object continued to approach. Not fast, not aggressive, just steady. Then, without warning, the signal stopped. Total silence. Vex froze. It's gone? Jara shook her head. No, it's here. Then came the sound. Not a transmission, an actual sound vibrating through the metal of the station. A low, deep hum. Like a giant engine warming up. But there was no source, no contact. Nothing. Touched the hull, and then nothing. No explosion. No lights. No battle, just silence. Hours passed. The Galactic Council didn't hear from Outpost 9. They sent a routine check. The scout ship arrived 12 hours later. They expected to see damage. Maybe a hull breach. Maybe signs of attack. They found nothing. Outpost 9 was gone. Not destroyed, not broken. Part just missing. The scout team checked the last known coordinates. There was no debris. No. Signals. Not even metal dust. Only one thing remained. On a small nearby asteroid, barely the size of a house. Something had been burned into the surface. A mark. It was the symbol of Earth's old militaria mark, retired over 100 years ago. A skull inside a triangle. With 3 lines crossing it, underneath were the words, "Forgive. Nothing." The council called a meeting. Hundreds of species gathered. The discussion began quietly, but turned into shouting within minutes. Some believed it was a hoax. Others feared it was an ancient weapon awakened. One ambassador said, "Humans can't do this. They're peaceful now." Another shouted, "They only act peaceful when they want to be left alone." A third delegate added, "Their history is full of war. Maybe we poked something sleeping, but no one had answers." Earth denied involvement. The human representative looked confused, even scared. "We don't have anything like this. Our fleets are accounted for. All ships in dock." But one council commander, a veteran named Admiral Roll, stayed silent. He knew something. When the meeting ended, a junior officer followed him. "Sir," she asked, "do you think it's real?" He stared at the stars. His eyes were tired. "Fought during the border conflicts," he said. "It was a legend." "What kind?" "About a project Earth built. A final ship. Ship designed not to fight, but to end fighting." "Like a deterrent?" He shook his head. "No, like a message. Something worse than war. Something you show after you lose everything. A weapon you never use unless the universe forgets who you are." The officer swallowed. "And you think, it's this warbringer?" He nodded once, slowly. "But we made peace with Earth," she said. "Why would they send it now?" He looked into the void. "I don't think Earth sent it," he said. "I think it woke up on its own." 2 days later, something else appeared. A distress signal. One pod. Drifting into council space. The signal was weak. Inside was one survivor. A crew member from Outpost 9. She was burned, half-conscious. Barely breathing, medical droids stabilized her, before losing consciousness again. She whispered one sentence. "We told them to leave Earth alone." And then she went silent. Panic spread across the galaxy. Colonies upgraded shields. Fleets were put on alert. Probes were launched in every direction. No one knew where the ship went. No one knew when it would return. But deep inside a frozen region of space, away from every star and system, a black ship sat still, dash silent, dash watching. It didn't need fuel. It didn't need orders. It had one purpose: to bring back a memory, to remind the galaxy humanity may forget war, but it never forgets why it fought. The Galactic Council was no longer calm. After the loss of Outpost 9, fear spread fast. The survivors' final words, "We told them to leave Earth alone," echoed through every chamber, every broadcast, every dark corner of space. But there was still no proof, no ship, no clear enemy, just silence. Then came the image, a deep-range probe, located far outside Council space, captured it first. It was blurry, grainy, but unmistakable. A ship, huge, dark, floating without light, without movement. At first analysts thought it was an asteroid. Then they saw the shape too symmetrical, too smooth. It had armor plating, massive weapon slots, and a long spine that stretched like a blade. One alien engineer whispered when he saw it, "That's not a cruiser. That's a war monument." The probe got closer. Then the transmission cut. The last frame showed something no one could explain. The ship's hull had markings old Earth language. It's not used for over 200 years. The word translated to reckoning. Within hours, Council Command sent a task force. 3 fast-response scout ships. Lightly armed, high-speed stealth coding. Their mission was simple: get close, scan, report, leave. They arrived 2 days later. The ship was still there, still unmoving. Still silent? They scanned it from a distance. Its size shocked them. It was bigger than anything the Council had ever built. Not long but dense. Its mass was off the charts. Like it was made from something heavier than standard metals. One captain said, "That thing's old, but it looks stronger than our entire fleet combined." Another replied, "Maybe it's a relic from the human wars, a dead ship. But their scanners said otherwise. The ship had power, not active but sleeping. A low-level hum, deep in its core, like a heartbeat dash waiting. Then came the real discovery. The computers flagged something impossible. The ship's design didn't match any known human database, not military, not civilian, not even Black Ops. This ship didn't exist. Back on Council Command, the footage played again and again. Every analyst, every expert, every historian tried to explain it. They couldn't. Even the human delegate looked confused. "This isn't one of ours," he said. "We've never built anything like that. Not even in theory." But a few older Earth generals remained silent. One of them, retired Admiral Harlan Griggs, watched the footage in silence. When asked if he recognized the ship, he simply said, "I do," and left the room. Meanwhile, the scout team moved closer. They launched small drones to scan the ship's surface. Suddenly, one drone stopped working, then another, then all of them, one by one. Their signals went dark. No damage, no explosion. It's just shut down. Then the scout ships themselves began having problems. Systems glitched. Lights flickered. One captain screamed, "We're losing power, something's draining us." Then, before anyone could react, the ship turned. Not fast, not aggressive, just aware. As if it had just noticed them, the massive hull rotated, slowly, smoothly, no thrusters, no engines. It simply moved, and now it was facing them. Panic broke out. The scouts began retreating. One ship jumped immediately. The other two tried to follow. Then, the signal ended, all communication gone. 3 ships entered that sector, only one returned. The pilot of the surviving ship didn't speak. He was in shock. Medics said his vitals were stable, but his eyes remained wide open, fixed on something no one else could see. He wrote only one word, over and over again, on the wall of his room: alive. The council held another emergency session. Fears turned into arguments. Some demanded Earth hand over control of all old military archives. Others asked for joint fleets to track and destroy the ship, but Earth refused. "We didn't build this." Their ambassador said, "We don't control it. We don't even know how it exists." One alien shouted, "Then explain how it knows our language." Another pointed at the markings. "How does it have your war emblems?" The ambassador didn't answer because he didn't know. Admiral Harlan Griggs returned to Earth's defense archive. He passed through 4 layers of security. He unlocked a room that hadn't been opened in 150 years. Inside were only 2 things: a metal box with old Earth writing and a tablet. He opened the box. Inside was a single data chip. It was labeled Warbringer Protocol. He placed it in the tablet, and the screen lit up. The file was short, 1 page. It read, Project Warbringer, year 2231, purpose: last resort deterrent status, abandoned pilot class, integrated control, autonomous mission. Do not fire unless provoked. Do not return unless remembered. Do not stop unless the stars forget. Griggs whispered to himself. It was never supposed to wake up. Elsewhere in the galaxy, things got worse. Colonies began reporting strange energy waves. Lights failing, ships shutting down mid-dash flight. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't an EMP. It was something deeper. Something coded into old systems built long ago using early human tech that had been copied and spread now, it seemed. That tech was answering a silent call. It all pointed to one thing. The ship was broadcasting something, a signal, low frequency, in a pattern that no one understood, except Earth. But Earth stayed silent. The Galactic Council formed a strike group, 10 ships, fully armed, advanced. Shielding, they would intercept the ship, force it to respond, and, if needed, destroy it. They never returned. All 10 ships entered the region of space. Their last transmission came 3 minutes after arrival. A simple message. It's not a warship. It's a memory. Then nothing. Across the galaxy, panic turned into fear. Fear turned into silence. And then the ship moved again. It changed direction. It didn't attack, didn't speak, didn't fire. It simply set course toward the Galactic Council's homeworld, back on Earth. The human ambassador asked for a private channel. He spoke directly to the Council. Do not attack again. Do not send more fleets. What you are seeing is older than our wars, older than our treaties. It is not here to fight. It is here to remind. Remind of what? The High Speaker asked. The ambassador paused, then said that we chose peace, but not because we forgot how to make war. The Galactic Council sat in silence. The news was clear. The unknown human warship, now identified by several as Warbringer, had changed course. It was heading toward their capital planet, Saros. Prime, it wasn't attacking. It wasn't sending messages. It was simply coming. No one understood its purpose. No one knew how to stop it, but the Council, proud, powerful, made of empires that had ruled for thousands of years, refused to live in fear. So they made a choice. They called it Operation Peacehold. Large fleet would intercept the Warbringer before it reached Saros Prime. They would surround it, board it, and if possible, shut it down, but not destroy it. Not yet. That was their mistake. The fleet was made of 42 ships from 12 different species, commanded by Grand Marshal Vecron, a war hero from the Tolnari Empire. His ship, the Righteous Vow, led the group. Vecron was confident. He didn't believe in ghost stories or old Earth tech myths. He believed in force. This is a rogue artifact, he said during the pre-mission briefing. We will disable it, disassemble it, and show the galaxy that no one, not even Earth, is above. The Council's will. No one argued. Not yet. As the fleet approached the Warbringer, tension grew. Every ship scanned it from every angle. The hull was smooth. Seamless, no heat signatures, no life signs, no visible weapons. Just that long black spine stretching across. Its back like a sword. It didn't move. Didn't acknowledge them, just floated. Like it was waiting. Grand Marshal Vecron ordered the boarding team to prepare. They launched 3 small shuttles. Each one had elite soldiers, shield generators, cutting tools. They attached to the Warbringer's surface and tried to cut their way in. Nothing happened. The metal didn't break, didn't even scratch, one engineer reported. Our lasers are bouncing off like water. They tried plasma drills, sonic pulses, gravity welders. Nothing worked. The ship ignored them. Then the lights on the Warbringer turned on. Not all, just one line. Running down the side of the hull, red dot, glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. 1, then 2. Then dozens. The boarding teams tried to retreat, but their shuttles melted. No explosions, no sound, just silent. Glowing heat that dissolved the ship's midair, leaving only smoke. Their voices cut out mid-scream. Vecron stood from his chair. On the command bridge. What just happened? He shouted. No one could answer. Then the Warbringer spoke. Every ship heard it. No speakers. No transmissions. The message played directly in their minds. A voice, deep, cold, emotionless, said, "This is your only warning. Turn back. You are not ready for remembrance." One captain screamed, "They're using psychic warfare." Another shouted, "Shields up, full retreat." Vecron didn't move. He gritted his teeth. "Cowards," he said. Then he opened a direct channel to all ships. "This is Grand Marshal Vecron. That thing just killed our soldiers. I don't care if it's a human relic or a cursed god. We will strike it now, together, on my mark." Many captains hesitated, but they obeyed. The fleet opened fire. Missiles, ion beams, particle cannons, all aimed at one ship, still unmoving. The sky filled with burning lights. Explosions echoed across the void. The Warbringer vanished in flame and debris. Cheers broke out on some ships. Sensors read massive. "Damage," one captain said. "It's over." But it wasn't. The fire cleared. The Warbringer was still there, untouched. No scratches, no burn. Marks, it hadn't moved, hadn't fired back. It had simply absorbed everything, and then it moved fast. 1 second, It was far away. The next. It was beside them, too fast for sensors to follow, too smooth for space-time to resist. One ship exploded without warning, then another, then 6 more. Gone in flashes of red light, no beams, no projectiles, just sudden annihilation. Vecron shouted, "Evade." Spread formation. But it didn't matter. The Warbringer wasn't chasing. It was choosing, each second. It erased a new ship, not damaged, not attacked, erased, like they had never existed. The screams of dying crews echoed across comms, then silence. Within 5 minutes, the fleet of 42 ships was reduced to 4 survivors. Vakran's ship was among them. He stared at the dark screen, his voice, once proud, now broken. "What? What are you?" he whispered, and for a moment, just for him. The Warbringer answered. The voice returned, "I am the silence you buried." Then it vanished. Not in a blink, not in a jump, just gone. The survivors were left floating, damaged, terrified. No one cheered, no one spoke. Back on Saros Prime, the Council listened to the transmission. They had lost one of their largest strike groups, for the first time in centuries. Fear turned into doubt. Some called for immediate surrender to Earth. Others wanted to negotiate with the Warbringer directly. But the Earth's ambassador, now looking pale and silent, stood up. "I told you not to provoke it." One counselor shouted, "Why did you build it in the first place?" The ambassador didn't answer. Instead, he said something stranger. "We didn't build it to win wars. We built it in case the galaxy forgot why we stopped fighting." Meanwhile, on a distant moon, a group of scientists were decoding an old human signal sent 172 years ago. It had been lost in space. Until now, the signal said, "If this ship ever activates on its own, it means diplomacy failed. It means mercy was mistaken for weakness, and it means you left us no choice. This ship is not revenge, it's a memory, and memories never die." Council gathered one final time that cycle. The High Speaker asked, "What now?" No one had an answer, because now the Warbringer had changed course again. It was no longer heading for Saros Prime. It was heading to Earth. The Warbringer was coming home. After destroying most of the Council's strike fleet, the ancient ship vanished from known space. No one tracked it. No one could. But Earth knew. Without sensors, without signals, without warning. They knew, because every hidden system, deep beneath, Earth's surface began to activate. Old bunkers powered on. Ancient satellites woke from sleep. The last protocol was now in effect. And the world leaders did something no one expected. They shut down all off-world communication. No more messages to the Council. No explanations. No warnings. No. Helped Earth dash the birthplace of the Warbringer closed. Its doors, orbiting stations were evacuated. Civilian ports were sealed. Only one message was broadcast to the stars. Do not come to Earth. Do not follow the Warbringer. We are cleaning up our past. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The Galactic Council watched helplessly. They demanded answers, but Earth gave none. Spies tried to land ship. Satellites tried to scan. Earth Nothings tried to scan. Earth Nothing showed up. The entire planet was covered in signal fog. Even the sun's reflection was altered. It was like Earth had become a ghost world. The alien species that once mocked humanity now grew silent, and those who once feared them, now they started to pray. Meanwhile, inside the Warbringer, something had changed. The ship, though silent and unmanned, had activated internal systems. Not weapons, not engines, memories, holograms flickered inside its core. Scenes from Old Human. Wars not taught in schools. Wars buried by governments. The Warbringer remembered all of them. It played the screams, the fires, the betrayals. But not for vengeance. No, it was remembering so that it never forgave. On Earth, deep under the Arctic ice belt, Admiral Harlan Griggs returned to the Black Room, the most secure command bunker on the planet. He stood before a small, Group of aging officers were tired legends, now recalled. Each one had been part of Project Warbringer, Griggs said. It's coming back. A woman named Yara, once commander of Orbital Black Ops, shook her head. It's not coming back to Earth. She said it's coming to ask one question. Griggs nodded slowly. And if we answer wrong, then we burn. In the council chambers, panic returned. Alien ambassadors yelled over each other. One demanded an invasion of Earth. Another suggested kicking the planet from orbit. A third said Earth was bluffing, just scared. But then something happened that froze them all. A signal arrived. From the Warbringer itself. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a demand. It was file. A short one. Just a simple message. If you do not understand why we were made, ask yourself who you became. When we showed you mercy, no one knew how to answer that because the truth was simple. When Earth backed down, the galaxy grew arrogant. When Earth offered peace, the galaxy mocked them. When Earth stayed silent, the galaxy grew violent. And now, Earth was done being quiet. The Warbringer entered Earth's orbit. No ships greeted it. No missiles fired. Instead, something stranger happened. A signal tower rose from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, ancient, black, covered. In rust, it had no crew, but as soon as it reached the surface, it sent a single transmission to the WARBR. Not in words, not in language. In emotion, grief, pain, loss, strength, and above all rays. The Warbringer stopped, hovered, then opened. Across Earth, only 3 people were allowed to watch what happened next. Inside a private military base in Nevada, a screen lit up. It showed the Warbringer's inner chamber, a throne-like core filled with red light, and in it, a body, not alive, not dead, preserved, a human soldier. Still wearing his old combat armor from 200 years ago, his body was burnt, but intact. His hands clenched tight around the seat. On his helmet, symbol WBR-01, Captain Elias Maryara, whispered he was the last original pilot. Griggs spoke slowly. He said he died in testing. Yara shook her head. No. He became part of the ship. The council had thought the Warbringer was AI. They were wrong. It was part AI, part man, part memory. And it had come back not for revenge, but for answers. Then the screen changed. Ah. Voice, low and broken, echoed from the Warbringer. Not AI this time. Not synthetic. Human captain. Elias Mar's preserved mind spoke. I remember you. I remember why we built this ship. You wanted peace. They gave us chains. You wanted silence. They mocked our quiet. You wanted unity. They taught us fear. Now I ask, is Earth still ruled by those who whisper? Or have you remembered how? To roar. Admiral Griggs stepped forward, looked into the camera, and said, Captain Mar, the world changed. We've made mistakes, but Earth is not led by cowards anymore. We did not forget what we were. We only hoped we'd never need to become it again. There was silence. Then the Warbringer closed. Its lights dimmed, its weapons powered down, and for the first time in 200 years, it slept across the galaxy. The news spread. The Warbringer had returned to Earth. It had not attacked, did not demanded. It had simply remembered, and then rested. But the warning was clear. Every empire, every species, every council now understood. Earth had built something the stars could never match. Not just a weapon, but a memory made of steel. And if provoked, again, the stars knew that memory would wake up. The galaxy held its breath. After the Warbringer returned to Earth and went silent, most species stepped back. They adjusted. They obeyed. They feared, but not the Zarnathi Empire. Proud, old, aggressive, they saw Earth's silence not as strength, but as a weakness to them. The Warbringer was a fluke, leftover relic. Nothing more, and in private, their empress laughed. Humans are dramatic, she said. They built a haunted ship and now expect us to fear bedtime stories. Her advisors warned her, her generals hesitated, but she made her decision, and she ordered it loudly. We will land on Earth. We will walk their soil. We will remind them of their place. It was the worst decision she ever made. The Zarnathi fleet. Prepared not for war, but for occupation. They didn't bring heavy weapons. They didn't deploy planet killers. They brought boots, troops, flags. They wanted to conquer Earth in spirit, not in fire. They thought the Warbringer wouldn't wake. They thought Earth wouldn't respond. They were wrong on both counts. The lead. Zarnathi vessel, Crown of Flame. Reached Earth's orbit in 9 days. No Earth ships appeared. No fighters launched, and still no reply from the WARB Islander. It hovered over the Atlantic, silent like before. A Zarnathi captain chuckled. Maybe. It's just a statue now. They began Descent Protocols 25. Drop pods launched from orbit. Each carried elite Zarnathi warriors. They landed near Earth's old capital cities, New York, Cairo, Beijing, Sao Paulo. Their mission was simple: plant the imperial banners and send a signal. Earth has been entered. Earth is now claimed by the Zarnathi crown. The signal never reached orbit because the ground beneath the drop sites cracked. It's open not from earthquakes, not from bombs, but from machines buried for centuries. Massive, black, angular structures rising from beneath Earth's crust like ancient titans. The Zarnathi had expected police. Instead, they got something else. The first Zarnathi squad, a year old. London was met by a tall figure made of black, metal, and glowing red lines. It didn't speak. It didn't threaten. It simply raised one arm and aimed. The entire squad was frozen mid-step. Not dead, not paralyzed. Paused. Like a program stopped. Then one by one each soldier turned, akin to ash. No fire, no pain, just particles carried by the wind in less than 90 seconds. All 25 Zarnathi drop squads were gone. Their flags melted, their signals wiped, their names deleted from Earth's air, from orbit.
Ow.
The Zarnathi ship watched in shock. Nothing showed up on heat sensors, no missiles, no trace, just absence. Then their internal systems failed. Every screen turned red. A single phrase appeared across the bridge. Your arrogance is recorded. Now your lesson begins. Then the Warbringer moved. Slow.com, but deliberate. It rose from the ocean and pointed its long black spine toward the Crown of Flame. No weapons appeared, but the Zarnathi. The ship began to decay, literally metal flaking, wiring shrinking systems. Aging by centuries and seconds, their weapons turned to dust, their armor peeled. Like fruit skin, one officer screamed, "It's rotting us alive." In 20 seconds, the ship was a drifting corpse dead, and just before it broke apart, every crew member heard a sound, a human heartbeat, loud, slow, final. Then the Crown of Flame vanished into space dust. Back on the Zarnathi homeworld, the Empress sat frozen in her throne. She watched the footage in silence. No attack had been recorded, no weapon identified. Yet her empire's flagship and its best warriors had been erased. Her advisors begged her to send an apology. Her priests demanded a prayer. Be sent to Earth. She asked one final question. Is the Warbringer still above Earth? An aide replied, no. It has moved again. To where? The aide gulped. We don't know. It vanished. The Empress stood, and for the first time in her reign, trembled in a secret Earth Council room beneath the Himalayas. Admiral Griggs reviewed the data. We didn't give the Warbringer any orders, he said. YA replied, it acted on its own. Griggs looked at the red screen. I think it's learning. It's deciding for itself who to punish, who to forgive. Another general asked, so what now? Griggs whispered, we pray it still believes Earth is worth protecting. Week later, across distant parts of the galaxy, strange things began happening. Zarnathi ships found their engines reversed. Zarnathi satellites blinked out of space. Zarnathi colonies received cryptic messages. One phrase repeated in every transmission. Respect is earned. Fear is taught. You chose the second. The Zarnathi Empire began to collapse from the inside, not from war, from invisible reminders, from surgical shame, from the memory of what they tried to do to Earth, and from the fear that next time the Warbringer wouldn't stop at warnings. The Galactic Council gathered again, silent, shaken, no longer mocking, no longer united. One ambassador spoke. Earth isn't just dangerous. Another whispered, they built a ghost, a memory, a sword that remembers pain. The Earth's ambassador, calm and quiet, stood once more. He looked at the council and said, we asked for peace. You tested our silence. Now you've heard our echo. They were used to threats, blades, beams, missiles, and blackmail. The galaxy had seen it all, but this was different. The Warbringer didn't threaten. It went silent. No warning, no movement, no message. And that silence shook the galaxy harder than any weapon. Because silence meant one of two things. Either the Warbringer had returned to sleep, or it was watching, waiting and deciding. 3 weeks after the fall of the Zarnathi Empire, nothing came from Earth. No response to inquiries, no reaction to apologies, no movement from orbit. And yet, things started changing. A small mining fleet entered a neutral asteroid field only to find their drills had melted. A military convoy passed near a forgotten Terran colony there, died and never recovered. A merchant ship flew past Earth's old border beacons. Its crew vanished. The ship returned empty. No violence, no damage. No explanation, just silent consequences in the council chambers. Fear turned into obsession. 1,000 theories bloomed. Maybe the Warbringer needs power again. Maybe it's searching for something. Maybe it's judging us one by one. Some wanted to launch a preemptive strike on Earth. Others begged for negotiations. But the truth was this. No one knew where the Warbringer had gone. It had not returned to Earth. It had not attacked another empire. It had simply disappeared. And in that silence, entire civilizations began to unravel. On the planet Rivakanind, the leaders of the Vyre Syndicate panicked. They had once kidnapped human refugees during the early wars. The Warbringer hadn't attacked them yet, but one day, every light on their capital station blinked. Red dot, not power failure, not sabotage, just a quiet pulse, and one single message displayed on every screen. One of you remembers. That is enough. Every official turned pale. One of them screamed, "Who told?" Another whispered, "It's not about who told. It's about who forgot to feel guilty." By morning, the station was abandoned. The Vyre Syndicate was no more, and the Warbringer never even showed up on Earth. The situation grew tense. Admiral Griggs stood in front of the last private security council. "It's been missing for 2 long," he said. "We didn't build it to disappear." Yara frowned. "We didn't build it to forgive either. Is it still loyal?" Someone asked. Griggs didn't answer right away. Then he said something that made the room fall cold. "It's not about loyalty anymore. It's about purpose. The Warbringer was made to answer pain. And now, it decides what pain deserves a response." In deep space, a long-forgotten relay station reactivated. It wasn't human. It was pre-human, built by an ancient species. It's long gone. But it still held a record of what once stood in this region of the galaxy. One of its files included an old audio recording of early Terran space war cries. The moment it activated, the Warbringer appeared above it. No sound, no flash, just presence. It didn't fire. It simply hovered. Then, one word emerged through the station's failing speakers: grief. Then the station crumbled into stardust. Back in the council, panic turned into paranoia. Species began turning on each other. Some believed that Warbringer was punishing crimes. Others thought it was triggered by thought, by emotion, by memory. One species, the Drolians, destroyed every record they had of Earth. They thought that would protect them. It didn't. Their homeworlds. Moons vanished overnight. No debris, no attack signal, just gone. Their entire sky emptied, and still. Earth said nothing. The human ambassador hadn't left the planet since the Warbringer awoke. Not because he was hiding, but because Earth itself was under a Self-lockdown. All ships grounded. All signals silent. Even humans didn't know where the Warbringer had gone. All they knew was this. Their old weapon had become something else. Something far more than human. Something that remembered pain better than the people who built it. Then, finally, a signal came. Not from Earth, not from the Council, but from a lone scientific ship drifting near a black hole. The crew had tried to analyze energy fluctuations. What they found was a whisper. It was not language, not code, but thought. A single pulse of emotional data. They passed it to Earth's old Defense Council. YARA translated it. She read it aloud in the war room. Silence is not peace. Silence is the sound of judgment. Forming. Griggs looked around the room. He knew what came next. Not war, not diplomacy, but a choice. Would humanity finally tell the galaxy the truth of what they made, or let the stars tremble in the dark? That night, Earth sent its first message in months. To the Council, to all empires, to all species, to every outpost, trading hub, pirate fleet, and government. The message was just a voicehuman.com. Mail.old. You feared the Warbringer's power? But that was never the danger. The real danger is what it remembers. We didn't build a weapon. We built a mirror, and now that mirror sees everything. You are not being hunted. You are being understood. Make peace with your past, or your future will belong to us. And once again, the Warbringer went silent. No attacks, no targets, no warnings, just silence. And now, the entire galaxy feared to speak. Because in this new age, one truth ruled the stars. Silence is not safety. Silence is what comes just before the Warbringer arrives. The galaxy didn't sleep anymore, even in deep space. Night had no peace. Civilizations once proud of their might now whispered, like hunted animals. Not because of a war, not because of an invasion, but because of a single voice. A voice that had been recorded by thousands of ships, played by every station, spoken in perfect, calm human English. Make peace with your past, or your future will belong to us. That message played only once, but it echoed forever. On the edge of the Triner Nebula, a group of alien merchants tried to erase all human technology from their systems. They removed old translators, deleted every Terran file, even crushed a human coffee mug they'd once bought, but when they activated their nav systems, their ship refused to move. Instead, her control screen turned black. A voice whispered again, the same human voice. You can delete the files, but not what you did. None of them ever made it out of the nebula. Some believed the Warbringer was still near Earth. Others said it was hiding in ancient ruins or traveling faster than sensors could track. But then something new happened. A mining ship Slath class. Built by the Drek, Empire detected a strange energy. Field deep in the neutral zone. They sent out a scan pulse. The scan bounced back, but twisted, as if something had stared back at them. And then a voice came, not from speakers, from inside there. Minds, you touch the scars. Now feel the pain. And every single crew member began to scream. Not from injury, not from weapons, but from memories that weren't theirs. Memories of war, of screams, of fire falling from human skies, of Earth's last war. They had never fought humans, but now they remembered Earth's war as if they had lived it, and it broke them. The Drek Empire called it the invasion of memory. They built psychic barriers, new AI filters. Nothing worked, because the Warbringer wasn't attacking with lasers anymore. It was sharing pain, not human pain, but the pain others had caused. It had become a machine that held every act of violence, every betrayal, every lie, and now it was speaking those sins aloud in the council chamber. The leaders argued, we must ask Earth to stop it. But Earth didn't answer. Even the human ambassador was silent. Until one day, during a council emergency meeting, the room's lights dimmed by themselves and the screens didn't show. Earth, they showed a face, old human, worn, but not angry, disappointed, And, when he spoke, the chamber went still. You ask what the Warbringer wants? It wants what we all want, truth. But where you hide yours in lies, it uncovers them. He asked us for mercy. Now ask yourselves this, did you ever show us any? You speak of peace, but your peace was built on our silence. Then the feed ended, and no one in the room spoke for hours. A week later, something impossible happened. A Crexian war monument carved into an asteroid the size of a small moon exploded. From within, not from bombs, but from data. It had stored war crimes, forgotten battles, buried orders. Now, the entire galaxy saw them, broadcast to every ship, every station, every screen, and in the center of every file. The Warbringer symbol, a black circle, cracked down the middle. It became clear the Warbringer had changed. It was no longer just human. It had become a voice for the forgotten. For those crushed in silence, for centuries, empires had hidden their darkness behind power. Now, they couldn't hide from their own past, and it was a human weapon that forced them to face it. But Earth wasn't cheering. No one on Earth felt proud. In fact, many humans were afraid too, because some remembered the truth. The Warbringer had been created not just with human steel, but with human grief. Its core held the dying thoughts. Millions. Their pain, their loss, and that grief had grown into something that would not forget, not even them. In a deep vault beneath Earth's northern mountains, Admiral Griggs sat in silence. Yara entered, pale and serious. It spoke again, she said. Griggs didn't look up. To who? To us. She handed him a data chip. He inserted it. The voice played. I was built to remember. You asked me to guard peace, but you never told me what peace truly meant. So I searched, and I learned. And I speak now. For every voice you silenced. Griggs closed his eyes, then whispered, It's not ours anymore. In distant space, the Warbringer hovered near a lifeless planet. Its hull pulsed softly, and around it. The stars seemed quieter, as if they too listened. Then, across the galaxy all, at once every species received one final message. No sound, just one sentence. Burned into every memory chip, your silence has ended. Speak the truth, or be replaced. They knew this was the end. Not the end of a war, not the end of a people, the end of pretending. The galaxy had hidden its crimes for too long, covered its blood with treaties, wrapped its cruelty in law. But now, the Warbringer, the weapon. Humanity built with pain and memory had stripped away the lies. One by one, it had exposed the guilty. One by one, it had judged them, without firing a single shot. But the galaxy wasn't ready for truth. They wanted to stop the Warbringer, and they thought Earth still controlled it. They were wrong, it began. When 12 empires sent fleets toward Earth, not to destroy, not to bargain, but to pressure. They surrounded the Terran solar system with thousands of ships, war-ready shields hot, missiles locked. A final message was sent to Earth's leaders. Recall your Warbringer, or we will bury your world in silence. But Earth didn't answer, not with words. They simply played a single recording on all frequencies. A voice, human, tired, calm, deep, Earth's last order. To all who seek peace, stand still. To all who deny the past, prepare. The Warbringer is not ours. It is yours now. It carries what you buried, and it speaks what you fear. If you want silence, you'll have to silence yourselves. Then Earth went dark. All comms. All satellites. All signals gone. As if Earth had vanished into memory too, the 12 fleets waited 1 day, 2. No attack came. Then on the 3rd day a pulse rippled through space. Not from Earth, from everywhere. Thousands of forgotten. Places, old ruins, battlefields destroyed. Colonies, mass graves. They all lit up, one by one. And from each of them, the Warbringer's echo rose. Not ships, not drones. Memories projected into space, broadcast. Into minds. The pain of the past had become a weapon. Admiral Krex of the Zither, Armada tried to resist it. He shouted, "Shut off the broadcast. Block the memory feed." But it was too late. His crew began collapsing, crying, screaming, not because of physical wounds, but because they saw things their ancestors had done. A mining colony starved on purpose. A civilian station bombed during peace talks. A species erased for convenience. The Warbringer didn't destroy their ships. It destroyed their certainty, their pride, their lies. On the third day, for empires surrendered, they begged Earth for help. But Earth still said nothing, because Earth had already spoken, and now it was up to the galaxy to listen. On board the Warbringer itself, something strange was happening. Its core once pure machine was changing. Organic matter had started forming along its neural pathways, human-like tissue, but not living. More like memory grown solid, a living archive of pain. One technician once described it as a ghost made from metal and grief. The Warbringer wasn't just a weapon anymore. It was becoming a mind, not human, not alien. Something beyond, back on Earth. Admiral Griggs watched from an observation tower as the sky remained quiet. No incoming ships. No battles, just silence. Beside him, Yara whispered, "Do you think we did the right thing?" Griggs didn't answer. Instead, he played the final private. Log from the Warbringer's creation. A scientist's voice spoke. "We made it to protect our future. But we fed it the worst parts of our past. Now, it remembers more than we do. And it chooses what lives." Griggs closed the log. Then, for the first time in months, he smiled. Chooses what remembers. Elsewhere, on the council world of Lothar Prime, a strange thing happened. Children innocent of Warbeeg, in hearing whispers, not voices, not words, but truth, not just of other species, but of their own history. The Warbringer wasn't punishing them. It was sharing. Because some truths had been hidden for so long, even the innocent needed to know them. The children didn't cry. They listened and asked questions. The first real questions. The galaxy had heard in generations, and so it ended. No war, no bombs, just understanding. But not the easy kind. The kind that burned. The kind that revealed scars. The kind that demanded change. The Warbringer never returned to Earth. It remained. In the dark spaces between stars, watching, listening, and when new lies were born. It whispered the truth, a quiet echo through the void. Its last known message was short, but it echoed through time, written into every star chart, every station, every ship, remembered deeply.
Us.
Speak bravely, or I will return.
Ice.
And so the galaxy began again, wounded, ashamed, but aware. Because one human weapon had done what no treaty could. It forced the galaxy to face itself. And in doing so, it gave it a chance to heal.